Hi, everybody. This is Jono from the Mindset Channel.
And this is Chrome. Welcome for today's video. Today, we'll be doing day 13 and day 14 of the Mindset Reset exercise and project. Is it a project, John? I think could be a little bit of a project for some people.
Well, I think so, but I mean, it's a project. But I think what this really feeds into
Yeah.
is just something you can incorporate in your life. So we're calling it the 14-day mindset reset, but it's repeatable over and over and over again. Okay.
Yes.
All of
Yes.
these exercises we're doing, they're very practical, they're easily repeatable, and
Yeah.
they're highly effective.
Yes. Day 13. Setting future focus goals. The goal here is to cultivate a clear, achievable vision of your future that inspires daily action. Notice I said daily action. The mindset tip here is remember that even the biggest achievements start with small, consistent steps, which means you need to embrace each micro goal as a building block towards your future. Jono, can you explain a little bit what does achievable vision mean?
So achievable vision, it's a couple of ways you could explain, but I think the easiest way to do it, an achievable vision, is all about clarity. What we're
Mm,
saying there is cultivating that clear, achievable vision. When someone has an idea in their mind that's completely, I'm going to make $2 billion by tomorrow. That's not an achievable vision. Okay. Where can you actually get to? What's actually achievable? So the problem is when people create goals that aren't achievable, they fail. They simply fail. They give up, and quite often they don't go back to it. So, one of the important things here is just about creating goals that are genuine. You actually have a shot. They're not confirmed, they're not definite, but you have a shot at achieving if you push things in the right direction.
yeah, when I hear people, I am a realist. Um, that's why I don't attempt it. Sometimes I look at it as, there's a bit of a pessimism that I hear that. Because when people say I'm a realist, there's a degree of pessimism there that is disguised as being a realist. So, Jono, what's the difference between these quotation marks here, achievable vision versus a realistic, or when people say, I'm just a realist? What's the
Well, it's
difference
an
between
interesting
that?
thing. It's an interesting thing, okay? And it's good to be a realist, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Good to be a realist, but greatness and real achievement comes in being a realist, but thinking, but maybe I could also achieve that.
Mm,
And not letting that maybe get in the way and actually stop you doing it.
yes.
Okay. It's in reaching just that little bit further. So, someone who says, I agree with you that someone who says, oh, look, I'm a realist can sound a little bit pessimistic.
Mm,
Okay. It can be kind of a reason, oh, you can't do that. It's not real. But greatness and real achievement in people comes in just being able to push yourself that little bit further. So the perfect way for someone to be would be a realist to this point.
mm,
Then acknowledge that there's a chance they can get it to this point.
that's it.
Okay. Just that little bit higher, that little bit further down the road.
Imagine if Elon Musk was a realist.
He's a topical guy at the moment, isn't he? And that's the thing. Look, clearly, Elon Musk is obviously, he's got enormous resources and was kind of born with enormous resources as well. But at the same time, okay, he chose to do something with it.
Yeah.
Okay, he's most certainly not he certainly sort of transcends that level of just being a realist and takes things a little bit further. And I think that's a pretty good example, actually.
Mm.
You
Because
know,
a lot of people say, oh, he was born rich. I'm going, yeah. I mean, his first gig was programming video games. His father owned a sapphire diamond mines.
yeah, I think emeralds as well.
Emeralds. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's emeralds.
Yeah, yeah. So there's yeah, he didn't come from a poor stock, but again, that's not the point. There's plenty of people who've got plenty of money in the world but don't do that with
Exactly,
it.
right?
You
Yes.
know, is he the guy that, actually came up with the technology for all these electric cars and batteries and things? No, but he is a driving force.
I mean, people don't even know it. He actually created PayPal. That was
Yeah,
his first project. So anyway,
yeah,
I'm not a fan of his craziness, which is now craziness now in 2024, right?
yeah. It's
But
next level craziness now.
he went to the next level. I think the
Yeah.
fame and being in the clouds, or perhaps space, thinking of space, got to him. So okay, what is a long-term vision here? So long-term vision is usually looking at something far away. Well, that's why it's called long term. What is long term? Is 3 months long term? 12 months
Yeah, I
long
think
term?
I, I think it can be down to the individual, you know what I mean? But the point is looking forward.
Yeah.
People make the mistake of just getting caught up in their day to day, whether it be their personal life, whether it be their work life, their sporting life, whatever it is. People make the mistake of just getting caught up in the day to day, and they either didn't have a long-term view in the first case, or they forget about it as they get caught up in the day to day. So, what the important thing about this long term vision, okay, and this is point number one of the 5 steps under this, is just to spend some time perhaps visualizing where you want to be this time next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's long enough. Okay, do it in year long chunks. That's good enough. And importantly, get the ideas out of your head.
Mm,
Okay, where people get stuck is they come up with, even if they do have a long-term vision, it remains in their head.
mm.
And if the long-term vision sits in your head, um, it's less likely to be attainable than if you actually take the time to write it down. That act of actually writing something down actually cognitively engages you in the process of getting there.
I like the because I'm a marketer, right? That's what I do for a living, and that's what pays me, right? So when I explain what are the digital marketing ways to actually, to get traffic and get conversions, I usually compare the two things. I said, okay, this Google ads and Facebook ads and social media ads will get you immediate results, right?
Mm,
When I say immediate, as in it won't take 5 years, right?
right.
Um, but SEO, search engine optimization, that would take 6 to 12 months to even rise. That's a long term game. And guess what? But when it hits, oh my God, it hits,
Yeah.
right? All of a sudden you got organic traffic. And similarly for long-term vision, right? You need to really aim. To me, long term is 1 year.
Mm.
Toyota has a 100-year plan.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
an
It's a
that's crazy.
very, it's a very, it's an Asian thing to be okay with 50 and 100-year plans. The whole breaking it down into micros and 1 year ahead is very much a Western thing.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah,
That explains it because my grandfather kept on drilling us that what you do now will affect the next 2 or 3 generations, which is
yeah,
90 years, 100 years away.
yeah,
Okay, smart goals. Okay, we're here. This is point number 2 of day 13. Smart goals. SMART. Okay, this is really common in business, although everybody knows it, but not everybody does it.
yeah.
Jono, would you kindly explain the SMART goals, please?
Yeah, and look, and smart goals are something I talk about with my clients in psychotherapy all the time. Because a lot of the approach I take is about skill building and realizing goals. And again, there's a lot of goals people come up with, okay? But again, it's about making goals that are realistic,
Mm,
okay? And having SMART goals helps you do that. So, SMART goals refers to them being specific, measurable,
Yeah.
achievable,
Yeah.
relevant, and time bound.
Mm.
Okay, so we'll go through it one at a time. The S being specific, the goal has to be specific, not something as simple as I'm going to have $1 billion by this time next year.
Mm.
It's I'm going to have $1 billion by doing this and this and this. That's
Or
how I'm going to
or
go
I'm
about it.
gonna be rich.
Even better. I'm going to be rich. Okay, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Okay, what does that even mean? Okay, the other one is measurable.
Yeah.
Okay, the goal needs to be actually measurable. How do you know when you've succeeded?
Mm.
Because you feel good about it? No, that's not enough.
Mm.
You got to know how you got to measure how you've actually succeeded and what the point is where you step off and you know you've succeeded, and then you take it to another level.
Yes.
Achievable, we went through that before. That's about creating realistic goals.
Yes.
Okay. Um, there's no point you and I saying, yeah, well, we've decided by next year we're going to get to the moon. We don't have any capacity to do that. Okay. They've got to be realistic and relevant goals. And they need to be time bound. Okay. So the goal needs to have an end date on it. You can set a goal of achieving whatever you wish, and you might do that by the day you die. But if you want it to be a relevant part of your life, you need to put a time frame on it. So doing it perhaps a year at a time, is a way to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like what I like about what you said there is the time, the
Yeah.
time aspect of it. When I'm going through marketing plans or ideas with business owners, right? Um, this is very NLP again. So when it's an idea, it's just an idea in your head, right? And then you write it down, right? And then you come up with ways on how does that look like, right?
Mm,
And as soon as you put the time in it, that is no longer just a strategy. It's now a plan.
mm. Exactly right. Exactly right. It's an example of this as well. Now, years ago, this is going back about 16 years or so now.
Yeah,
About 16 years or so. Before I became a therapist, as you know, Crom, I was involved in the offshore outsourcing industry in the Philippines,
yeah.
and ran a company that employed about 3,000 people. Okay, now
Wow.
at one stage, we made an acquisition.
Mm,
Okay, our partners and I got together and we actually bought another call center, which added another 1,000 staff and a bunch of other clients to what we were doing. Now, part of my role during these acquisition stages was, as I was very much operationally focused, was working out how to make things more efficient.
yeah,
Okay, working out how to sort of make more by doing less, essentially.
yeah.
Essentially what I did. And this particular company we bought had a quality assurance department,
Right.
okay,
Okay.
who were ensuring ISO certification and all this sort of thing.
What's ISO?
It's a certification of quality of delivery. There's different versions of it for services, for manufacturing, all
Yeah.
these sorts of things. You often see ISO 9003 or something like that.
Oh,
It's
gotcha.
for
Yeah.
companies ISO certified. So it's just a certain certification that means, okay, you tick all these boxes. Okay. So it had 45 staff
Mm,
involved in ensuring compliance. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that's great. I'll go and have a look around and see what's actually happening here. And so there was an ISO desk in each area as I went around this contact center. I went up to these people and I said, okay, introduce myself. I said, run, and I wasn't trying to put anyone on the spot. I introduced myself, and said, can you tell me what you're doing? How are you going about it? Tell me about your
Did you
process.
do a Steve Jobs on his return to Apple?
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't mean to do it either. And they said, "Oh, we're just ensuring. I'm ensuring quality assurance. That's what I think." I was like, "But yeah, okay. What are you doing? What are you measuring it against?" "Oh, I'm just ensuring everything's done properly." Yeah, but what are you actually measuring against? It turned out there was
Mm,
45 people walking around this place with an idea of what quality was in their head, and no way of
no.
measuring if anything was actually compliant or not. Um,
Oh dear.
yeah, it was, and it can happen really easily. It can happen very easily. Everyone in business is aware of this whole SMART goals. Very few businesses actually do it.
Yes, correct.
But we're not talking about using it for business purposes here. We're talking about doing it personally.
Yes, correct. We
You can use
don't,
you can
that's the
use
thing. We don't really do it, use it for personal reasons.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
personal
You can
use.
use exactly right. You can use this for your own personal growth.
Micro goals, breaking down each long-term goal into smaller, manageable actions you can take over the next month.
Exactly right. And one of the things one of the ways I explain this to people with regards to micro goals is if you look at where you want to be, it can be a bit daunting. It can kind of be like you're sitting in front of a mountain and you need to get to the top of the mountain, but you don't know what the path is.
Mm,
And that's a really daunting way to approach it. How do you actually get there? Okay. But here's the thing, you can have your goal, that's where you want to get to. You
yeah.
don't necessarily have to know all of the steps. What you need to do is be able to break it into perhaps those smaller monthly goals. And
Mm,
essentially, when it comes back to that metaphor of getting to the top of the mountain, you don't necessarily need to know the path all the way to the top. You just need to know where your foot goes now, and then
yeah.
when your foot goes next, and then when your foot goes next. And as long as you keep taking steps, you'll get to the top of the mountain anyway. And if you happen to take one in the wrong direction, just take one back in the right direction. The important thing is don't freeze because you've got this daunting mountain in front of you. Okay. So if you look at the year long goal and just look at it like that, it's going to be harder. Get the year long personal goal, break it into its monthly goals, into its weekly goals, into its daily goals.
And going to the next part of this one, the daily progress. See, I like the daily progress idea, and but it's most people I know, including myself, I will come up with a chart with a daily progress. I got my micro goals in comparison to my long-term goals. But now the hard part is the discipline to stick with it. So the commitment to one small action a day that aligns with the long-term goals.
That's exactly it. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. Just simply one small action every day that aligns with a long-term goal. Simply put.
How does one stick to it, do you reckon? What makes people stick to it?
Okay, so this is where just a bit of discipline comes into it, just a bit of mental discipline, and that's something you build over time. Mental discipline, you've heard me talk about confidence being like a muscle. Mental discipline's the same. Okay. And
Mm,
people sort of talk about, oh, I'm not disciplined or I am disciplined. They have that same binary misunderstanding that most people have with confidence. They think they're either confident or not confident. Mental discipline's the same thing. It's like a muscle. And if you just commit to these goals and just simply make it part of your daily process, something that you do every day, okay, it eventually just becomes what you do. It just becomes habitual. And we'll get into a little bit later. It's about conscious repetition of these positive behaviors trains the unconscious part of your mind to just do it anyway.
yeah.
So it becomes something you don't need to think about anymore.
I just want to add on what you said there. Um, and it only occurred to me only last week when I was reading this. Did you know there's a correlation with the word discipline and disciple?
I never thought of it, but of course there is. Yeah.
Yeah. And if what's a disciple? It's someone that follows a teacher or master, right?
Mm, mm.
And the teacher and the master has these ideas and say, okay, you need to think this way, go about this way, and do it this way. And the follower, the disciple, sticks to it,
Yeah.
right? And when I got this through when I was meditating. Same with the word give and get. Um, I just realized forgive and forget is also one of those stories. I've never linked them together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you get what you give.
Yeah.
You can also
Very
forgive
good.
and
I'd
forget.
never even put that
I've
together.
never put that together. Anyway, going back to this, so a disciple could be your make yourself a disciple of your idea. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, make yourself essentially the a disciple of your own improving mindset.
That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you for articulating
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, review and adjust.
Yeah, okay, reviewing and adjusting is really important, okay. Um, and it's where that whole that dynamic situational awareness comes into it. And this is why this is in the very first episode we did. We talked about one of the high performance markers being dynamic situational awareness. And so you have a goal, you put it in place, things change.
Yeah.
Okay, things change as you go. That's okay. You can't control everything. But as things change around you, there's often no point in sticking to the exact goal that
Mm,
you've got, okay, or the exact pathway to that goal. So at the end of the day, just reflect on the progress that you've made and adjust your goals, okay, and adjust your techniques to get there when needed. It's again that term dynamic situational awareness.
I love that.
Yeah, right. It's a great term, right?
I love it. So, guys, if you're going, oh, how do I apply that? If you are going to work via the public roads, if you're driving to work, catching public transport, that you're doing this every day, right? So to go to work, that car or that bus or that train that you're on, right, is not is not continuously on the go. If that was a car or a bus, it doesn't get the green light all the time, right? It will get a red, right? And it doesn't stick with its lane. And by the way, if you're from the Philippines, guys, listening to this, in Australia, we have lanes and we follow the lanes. You stick to your lane. Uh,
Anyone else who's driven in the Philippines will get that.
That's right. Or Hanoi in Vietnam or any Asian country, really.
I did until I drove down EDSA in Manila.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could get 9 lanes on a 4 lane road.
Yes, you can. And trying to chuck a U in a 9 lane road. Anyway, guys, a UE is a U-turn, in case you're wondering
Yeah.
what's that. All right, we're moving to day 14 here. So, and that is reflection and celebration. Now, this is part of my daily routine. I have a daily reflection, which is about 5 to 10 minutes. I have a quarterly, which is every 3 months. I got a half a year, and then I have a full year. And
Yeah.
my full year reflection is on my birthday. I time it for my birthday. All right, Chrome, you're now this age. What's your bank account? Are you happy? What's your job? And all that stuff. And that should be, like my age, going higher, right?
Yeah. But hey, if sometimes it doesn't, it's not the end of the world either.
Correct.
Okay.
That means, okay, you drop it dropped a bit. That's why you need to do some reflection.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly
Okay.
right.
The goal here is to recognize and honor your progress, building a foundation of gratitude and self-awareness.
Yeah.
Oh, gratitude and self-awareness. I love that. Guys, if one of my definitions of you're in the top 10% of human beings in this world. Okay, I know that sounded a bit snobbish, but hear me out on this one. Could be if you're in the top 10 evolved human beings here on this planet, I can only I can guess that you're good at two things. One, gratitude, and the other one is you're self-aware.
Self-awareness is a huge thing. It really is. You know, really understanding who you are and what you're about and knowing your strong points, knowing your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Okay. and being grateful, being able to spot your own weaknesses and actually do something about it.
And do something about this, right? Well, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and I said, "Oh, can you please draw me a," because she's very good at cartoons, drawing cartoons, right? Especially Sanrio. I asked her, "Can you draw me a picture, a realistic photo of a person?" And she said, "I'm not good at that." And I went, "Sweetie, you're 9 years old. Yeah? You got all your life to be good at something.
Mm,
You can't bank yourself on not being good at that.
yeah,
Yeah? You're probably not amazing. You're not MC Escher, nor Michelangelo, nor Leonardo da Vinci in
not
drawing
yet.
something realistic. Correct. But like them, they had to learn it, right? Mindset tip. Every step you've taken in the past 4 days is your proof that you are committed to your growth. Acknowledging your journey, knowing it, is paving the way forward. All right, let's break this down. Review your journey.
Yeah, so reviewing your journey, and this is really important. And like I say, I'm all about celebrating wins as well. That's the next point down. But to do that, you got to review your journey and see what you've actually done. Just reflect on the progress you've made
Yeah.
over the past 14 days of this reset here. And think to yourself, what have you actually learned about yourself?
Mm,
Okay, what have you actually learned here? The whole point about this is to identify negative behaviors and overcome them and put better ones in place. Okay.
yes.
And importantly, to identify as well your positive behaviors and enhance them.
Yes. Did you hear that, guys? Bad, remove, replace. Good stuff, make it bigger.
It's exactly right.
Oh,
Exactly
and
right.
I prefer, like you said, enhance them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Celebrate the wins. Write down 3 accomplishments, no matter how small, and celebrate them. I love that.
Exactly. And I'm all about celebrating progress. Like it's so important. And it sounds kind of a bit wishy-washy, but it's not. Okay. Celebrate every win. Doesn't matter how small it is. Focus on the wins. People make such a habit of they're doing okay, then one thing they do wrong and they spend the rest of the day focusing on that.
Mm,
Okay, forget about it. You get something wrong, don't worry about it. Celebrate the wins. During a day, you've typically got more right than you've got wrong.
that's
Okay,
it.
focus on that. And again, let that muscle of confidence build as you focus on those wins.
One of the one of the best questions I heard about that is like, "Hey, Chrome, if you lost $1, would you throw away $59?" And I went, "No." So if you had a terrible minute, would you sacrifice the next 59 minutes? And I went,
Exactly
"Okay,
right.
that's good. Okay, thank you."
It's exactly right. Exactly right. And look, the easiest way to celebrate your wins here is just quite simply the way to do it is just write down three of your accomplishments,
Mm,
throughout the day, no matter how small they are, and celebrate those.
yeah, totally good.
Okay.
When I wake up in the morning, I have usually 2 or 3 goals. I got that from a spiritual advisor. I've been kind of doing that since high school, right? Sometimes I got one. I make my bed and I come up with one goal, sometimes three, but I like three, the number. And and at the end of the day, it's so easy to call it, "Oh, that was a tough day. Oh, I had an awful week." And when now you're putting all the whole week and putting it and calling it awful as well, right?
Yeah.
Change that habit, right? And make it, "Oh, today I've done this, and I've done this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And when we reflect on our journey, people, I'll give you an example. How does this work? I would ask my daughter, "How was school today?" And I get a typical 9-year-old answer, "Good."
Yeah. I get the same with my 8-year-old son.
Yeah, yeah.
How's
So I
your
go,
day? Good.
"Good." And then I'll go, so I have a question that I ask her. what did you guys do after recess? Right? And then she goes, oh, I can't remember, but this is what we did in recess. And so said this, and so did this, and we did this, and we did that. So I trigger, I triggered her into reviewing her journey throughout the day,
Mm.
right? By asking specific questions rather than how's school? Good,
Yeah,
right?
good.
Now it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, we did this. And then I said, oh, did you learn science today? No, we didn't do science. Did you do mathematics today? Yes, we did mathematics today. What's challenging about that? Oh, I couldn't do this problem, and so I didn't answer it. And then that's another topic of conversation.
Right.
So the next one is plan the next steps.
Yeah, just plan the next step. So it's simply, and what that comes down to is, decide on something that needs improving.
Yeah,
In the
yeah,
purpose of this, in purpose of this 14-day mindset reset. Next steps, so you work out what it is that needs improving.
yeah,
And then as you repeat this cycle, because like I say, you don't just do this once. This is something that's repeatable over and over and over again. The idea is for this to simply become part of your daily routine.
yeah.
And it runs on that 14-day cycle. Simple as that. So, decide on what area you want to continue to focus on improving. Okay. And include that in the next cycle.
Yes. Okay, if you manage to change a bad habit this way, okay, now you've got that. If you manage to change your mind on something, now you got that. What else can you do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Celebrate with intention. Do something today to celebrate your progress. Jono, what does this mean?
So it's a little bit different to just celebrating the wins along the way. Okay. So this is, essentially what we're doing here in this mindset reset. We're doing it on a 14-day cycle. Okay.
Mm,
At the end of each 14 days, do something for yourself. Celebrate
yeah,
the fact that you made it through the cycle again, whether that be taking the family out, whether it be going and having a beer if you want to go do that, whatever you want to do. Whether it be buying yourself something, whether it be, taking a weekend away, whatever you want to do something to celebrate each time.
yeah, that's a good point. And not going back to a bad habit that you got rid of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So if you're
Exactly.
trying to beat chocolates, for example, yeah, or lessen the chocolate, celebrating doesn't mean indulging on
Yeah,
chocolates again. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, that's not going to help you. So
So yeah,
there
that's
you go.
a
That brings us to the end of this 14-day mindset
yes, correct. That's
reset.
it.
Now, important, a couple of things about this. Do you have to do it literally 14 days, one after another? No. You can spend a couple of days on each step. For the purpose of simplicity, we call it the 14-day reset. You can spend a couple of days on each one. If you haven't achieved one, you don't have to rush through it to get to the next one if you're not happy with it. Okay, just
But
for
but but uh, but having said that, I just want to sorry to cut you there.
yeah,
But having said that, guys, finish it.
absolutely finish it. Absolutely finish it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely finish it. The idea, if you can get it done day after day, get the challenge, get each step done on the days assigned. If you haven't really achieved it, okay, if you haven't really done it, don't just jump to the next step. Okay, if
Yeah.
you need to take 2 days on one step, that's okay. Okay, that's why we're keeping it as a short 14-day repeatable cycle. Okay,
Yes, correct.
that way it doesn't blow out.
That's it. And if you delay it for too long, you're probably going to forget it, right?
Yeah,
So I really believe in the sense of urgency, right? If I do a 14-day cleansing or a 14-day mindset reset, I will actually do it in 14 days because the momentum builds up.
I
Hey,
would too.
yeah.
Yeah,
So we did put it as 14 days. Jono is absolutely correct. You don't need to finish it in 14 days, but if you can, do it, right?
do it and then repeat it. Do it,
That,
then repeat it. So,
that's it.
so what are we actually doing here with all this? Okay,
Yeah.
I guess is the question. By doing all of this, what are we actually achieving? Okay, and what that comes down to break it down, is very much something that we spoke about maybe last week's episode, maybe the week before. But I'll just go back to that that brief discussion about your conscious mind versus your unconscious mind. Okay, obviously you have one mind. Okay, obviously you don't have actually two minds, but we're talking about the processes that are conscious and the processes that are unconscious. Now, if you look at your mind, about 10% of it, of what goes on, 10% of how we react is conscious.
Yeah.
10% of what we do is conscious. The rest of it is unconscious. Typically, the way we respond to things, our perception of ourselves, what we think we can achieve versus what we think we can't achieve is very unconscious, but you can change it. And that's where that metaphor I spoke about last week is so important. Look at your conscious mind like it's the filing clerk. Okay.
Mm.
Look at your conscious mind like it's the filing clerk. It's basically saying, focus on this, give this attention, put that away in the drawer. Okay. Focus on this, put that away in the drawer, focusing on the things that are going to get you going forward. Now, as you repeat that unconscious repetition, okay, as you continue with it, you're then training the unconscious part of your mind to seek out these opportunities. Remember, the unconscious part of your mind is like a bloodhound, like a hunting dog. Okay. And if you can give it the right conscious instructions, repeated, that unconscious part of your mind will then get out there and sniff out opportunities to actually make this all happen for you. That's what we're doing here. What we're really doing is through conscious repetition, through conscious focus, we're changing our unconscious habits. Okay.
Yeah.
And our unconscious thoughts and habits typically come through a fraction of a second before our conscious ones do. So if we can get those in sync and get them both going in the right direction, that's where you make significant successful change.
That's exactly right, guys. So thank you, Jono, for clarifying that and articulating that in such a way that, you know, it's precise. And once again, guys, this is Chrome and from the Mindset channel. Please subscribe and turn on that notifications button down here. So when we release a new video, you will be notified. And by the way, for us to keep on going and creating content that can help you out, we need all these subscriptions and watch time. So we're very upfront about it. And by subscribing and turning on those notifications, it really helps this channel as well.
Exactly right.
So once again, this is Chrome from the Mindset channel.
And this is Jono from the Mindset channel.
I hope, and we hope, should I say, that you enjoy the 14-day mindset reset. But for now, we'll speak to you soon, and we'll see you in the next video.
Take care, everyone. See you next week.
See ya. Bye.